do I? What if I just didn't? What if I wanted to attempt to defeat all gym leaders and the Elite Four with only my starter? And what if I also chose to not use any items in battle? Well, we don't have to ask what if. Here's the story of someone that has very little knowledge of Pokemon attempting to do something that they have no business doing. Like I was saying, my knowledge of movesets and types is terrible. I mean, obviously I know that water beats rock, fire beats grass, and paper beats rock. But everything else is a straight up guess for me. I knew the basics of the game from when I played as a child, so I knew how to beat it, or at least bare minimum knew what to do. So I named my trainer and my arch nemesis and began my journey. The Pokemon I chose to go with is probably a terrible decision. You see, I picked Squirtle. My rival, of course, grabbed a Bulbasaur, and after a quick battle, I leveled up for the first time. I then, of course, trekked my way up north to Viridian City, learning Bubble along the way, which should come in handy for the Boulder badge that's coming up. So after leveling further and grabbing the Pokédex, I entered the Viridian Forest and squashed some bugs. Upon exit, I began a training regimen in the grass nearby to get my Squirrel up to level 15. During that training, we also learned a new move, Water Gun, which is another move that will help in the gym. So, at level 15, with 2 water moves, I thought of course I'm ready to begin my first gym battle. And this was of course a breeze, as all I had to do was spit on the rocks a few times. We were on our way with 1 badge in hand. Oh, I forgot to tell you, part of the challenge was to keep Squirtle as Squirtle, so no evolving. Every time I level, I need to remember to hit B before the evolution happens, to keep him at his first evolution. After leaving the gym, I received the running shoes and entered the cave nearby. I fought my way through, and after fighting Miguel, I was left with 1 health and I was poisoned. So I did end up whiting out, which is fine. It's not a nuzlocke after all. When I exited the other side of the cave, my Squirtle was level 23, and I felt it was good enough to take on Misty. Water versus water. Let's see how this goes. Her little posse was no match, but her stars were a bit of a nuisance. I began the battle using Bite and took down half of Staryu's health. It attacked back with a water pulse. I answered by nibbling at its red center and was ready to face Starmie. Swift really did a number on me, but these stars were really no match for my Bite attack. I left the battle a little beaten, but with a new badge in hand. I swiftly exited feeling high off my victory and healed up before heading north. Right before the bridge, I ran into my arch nemesis for the first time. The fight began with a level 17 Pidgeotto, which really wasn't much of a challenge, but, and this is a hard but, Ball's level 18 Bulbasaur really kicked my ass. Kicked it so hard that I began a training arc. Level 27. We were finally ready. The main problem was Bulbasaur using sleep powder and not letting me attack. But there is one good thing about being a biter, and that's flinching. So finally, as the battle commenced, I smacked down Pidgeotto, bit Bulbasaur into the first flinch, bit again, and waited for those words at the bottom of my screen. Faux Bulbasaur flinched. And as they appeared, I felt greatness overwhelm me. Really, I just smelt dinner. But nonetheless, the battle continues. His level 16 Abra failed to teleport and was obliterated by Tackle. Only 1 Pokemon left, in what felt like my first real battle of this run. A level 15 Rattata, just what I was expecting. I quickly told Squirtle to spit on it, and of course, it was lights out immediately. I then wrecked all of the losers on my way to turn a Pokemon into a human and grab a ticket for the SSN and set course to Vermilion City. If I'm saying these wrong, just let me know, I guess. Once arriving, I quickly jumped onto the ship and began fighting off seamen, which left my Squirtle with low health. Right before meeting the captain, I ran into Balls again, and he of course made the bright assumption that his full party against my wounded Squirrel would be a fair fight. He abruptly sent me blasting off again. After healing, I returned and Balls acted like the previous encounter never happened. Wow, dude. After losing a few times, I finally slapped my balls out of the way and grabbed Cut from the captain. And guess what? Squirtle can learn all types of moves, but he can't learn Cut. I told you I'm new to this. I went to the cave nearby and caught a Diglett. I used him as like a slave of some sort to just hold Cut for me, so I could cut down the tree in the way of the gym. So I sliced that tree and entered. I punched some trash cans, and then finally looked my new challenge in the face. I began the battle and of course was instantly paralyzed by Thunderbolt. This didn't deter me though. I repeated this process time and time again, making sure to never use Diglett, because that would be cheating. After leveling a few times to level 37, I finally took down Raichu, that little bastard. I finally took down Raichu by pushing through the paralyze. The rest of the party was pretty simple, and again, I had received another gym badge. 3 down, 5 to go. After this, I made my way through the dark cave east of Cascade. You ever think the people in here are weird for just standing around in the dark, waiting to harass a young trainer? No? Well, I do. Inside the cave, I did white out a few times, but got through relatively easily. I also learned Skull Bash and replaced Tackle with it. Also, why is this Girl Scout so ruthless, standing right outside of the cave waiting for all the weakened trainers? After dealing with that little brat, I entered the creepy city of Lavender Town to heal up and head further west to find a scope of some sort. Along the west path, I actually took on some pretty powerful trainers and got my Squirtle up to level 42 before I finally whited out. Right when I walked into the city, I immediately told the Team Rocket guy that they were ugly before entering the Gym of Plants. Just after entering, I was quickly paralyzed and whited out. In this battle, I kept losing to Victory Bell. The combination of Paralyze, Healing, and Giga Drain really sucked me dry. I eventually got fed up with this and trained outside of town. I also faced the trainers by the Snorlax and leveled up to learn Hydro Pump, which I chose to replace Skull Bash with. I then healed, re-entered the gym, and lost a bunch of times. That is until I reached level 50. I paired some Hydro Pumps with some Bites, and finally took down that plant bitch Erica to get my 4th gym badge. In the Team Rocket hideout, I bonked all of the donks that were shown to want to be bonked. I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyway, I poked a guy in the eyeballs to steal a lift key that took me to a boss room. And of course the fight was easy, using my water moves on his rock hard Pokemon. Now, we had the scope in hand, and a level 52 Squirtle. It was time to conquer the scary ghosties in the graveyard to save that old man. So I did just that. I did run into Balls as well, but this time he wasn't much of a problem. I flew past him and grabbed the Pokeflute from Mr. Fuji. Now I can move the big boys that look like me in real life out of the way. I also grabbed a drink for the guards and took the path to the next city. When I arrived, I entered the dojo. I wasn't going to use anything in here, but I thought it was good for some EXP. After that, I entered the 17th tower in the game and teleported around a bunch. While teleporting, I ran into Balls again. What the hell is up with this guy? Like, chill out, bro. I saw you like 5 minutes ago. This time, however, he did have a more powerful team. He kept putting Squirtle to sleep, and I can't do anything about that. Eventually, I said F it and made my way to Fuchsia. Again, I don't know if I'm saying these cities right. Once I arrived, I healed up and entered the 5th gym. If it wasn't for poison, I would have gotten this badge first try as well. But I did white out once. Really not much to talk about with this one. I grabbed the badge and entered the Safari Zone. I found some teeth that were way too far away from the entrance for an old man to bring them there, and then grabbed the move Surf to replace Bubble. Now with a level 60 Squirtle, I was ready to rematch my Balls. Did I say I was ready? Again, I had to cause Venusaur to flinch to defeat him, just like I did the first time. I one-shot his bird, leveled up a few times while losing, had a bite battle, almost died to Dragon Rage, one-shot Growlithe, missed Alakazam with Hydro Pump, but got lucky with Foresight, and finally one-shot Alakazam to defeat Balls. I fought the Italian man and got the Master Ball that I will never use. Wait, did I even need to do this? Whatever. I entered the gym, surfed and bit my ass off, and beat Sabrina first try. I now had 6 gym badges. Honestly, I'm more worried about Balls than I am about taking on the Elite Four. I then went south to surf to the caves that make me lose my mind. After exiting the caves and surfing to the island, I healed up and entered the mansion over yonder. I stole a key and broke into the gym nearby. Honestly, Blaine and his Pokemon were really no match for my Squirtle, or any water type for that matter. I'm talking out of my ass, I have no idea what's even going on. After receiving my 7th badge, I left and was promptly kidnapped by the Pokemon I turned into a human earlier, and had to do all of that boring stuff. Eventually I made my way back, and went home to say hi to Mom. In the final gym, Giovanni somehow knocked me out, but we don't need to talk about that. I returned to the battle, spit on Giovanni, and received the final gym badge. All that was left was Balls, a long-ass road, and the Elite Four. With my level 71 Squirrel and a dream, I met up with Balls. I began fighting him and lost over and over again. The biggest problem was Venusaur. That damn grass fucker was the perfect foe for Squirtle. I eventually went out to grind some more on Cinnabar Island. After reaching level 77, I returned. The battle was still very difficult, but eventually I hit a crit on Venusaur and took him out. As always, the rest of Ball's Pokemon were really easy to take out, and I was finally on my way to Victory Road. The trek up the road took some time, but eventually we reached the dreaded cave. It proved annoying, just like caves always do, but I did make it through and was finally face to face with my final obstacle, the Elite Four. Me and my level 79 Squirrel. Oh, and this Diglett. let's get rid of him. I knew these battles were going to take some grinding, but I took on the challenge with confidence. Over and over again, I was shot down by the first memory. With every loss, I did come closer and closer to victory. Level after level, I became attuned to which move I wanted to use and which moves I wanted to save. I couldn't refresh the PP until out of the battle, so this was important. I used Strength for Dugong, Surf for Cloister and Slowbro, Hydro Pump for Jinx, and lastly, Strength for Labradus. One problem with the battle was freezing, but eventually after reaching level 89 and getting pretty lucky, I finally beat her. And of course promptly lost to Bruno in the next room. I then did this over and over again for about an hour and hit level 93. Now sometimes when there's a bad storm and lightning strikes close to my house, we do lose power. And this of course happened right in the middle of me grinding. This was a big problem. I hadn't saved in a long time. I booted back up, only to realize I was now 25 levels back and hadn't even defeated Balls on Route 22. So I grinded quickly and ran over to Balls. The fight was very close. I defeated Venusaur and only had one sliver of health left. My only hope was to one-shot the rest of his team. And so we did. And did it well. I then ran down Victory Road and leveled up my Squirtle. Oh, and I didn't just level. I went ham on it. All the way to level 100. After all of that, the fight with L'Oreal became very annoying. It was either easy or the Pokemon took half my health before I could face Bruno. Bruno wasn't too much of a match if I had the correct moves after I left L'Oreal. Agatha was always smacked down with Hydro Pump on the ghosties, and the hardest part was Lance and his Dragon and Flying types. I eventually was reaching Lance consistently, and also losing to him consistently. But finally, it began. My first time beating him. I took down Gyarados with Surf, then both Dragonairs, Dragonite, and Aerodactyl were taken down with Hydro Pump. Easy, I guess. Now, we face Balls. Big ol' Balls. With a small amount of PP and low health. I took on Pidgeot with Surf, Venusaur with Strength, Alakazam with Surf, and Rhydon with Surf. Gyarados was a problem though. He would intimidate me and reduce my attack, and none of my moves would really hurt him. Sadly, after showing up with 5 health and 10 total moves, trying over and over again, I decided to pop a Max Ether on Hydro Pump and Surf and gave Squirrel a Hyper Potion. This technically didn't break my rules because it was out of battle, but I really wanted to do this without healing at all. Oh well, not a big deal. The main goal was to beat it with only Squirtle. So the fight began. Pidgeot received a Hydro Pump to the face. Venusaur received a few Surfs. I also one-shot Alakazam and Rhydon with Surf. I used Strength, Hydro Pump, and Surf to take down Gyarados, and then only had one Pokemon in my way. Arcanine came out and intimidated me right away. Then hit me with extreme speed. That's fine. I pulled out a Surf and watched as Arcanine's health slowly dropped to 0. A super effective move. It was finally over. All 8 gym leaders, the Elite 4, and Balls, all taken down by a single Squirtle. I received my praise from the professor and watched them celebrate. It was actually weird to see only one Pokemon in this Hall of Fame screen. 10 hours of my time and a dream is all it took to beat Pokemon Fire Red with only a Squirtle. Thank you for watching the shit show of me trying to play a game I have limited knowledge of. And if you made it this far, please consider subscribing to the channel. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.